Okay, so The Magnificent Seven is directed by Anton Fuqua, who also directed Training Day, Southpaw, and the Equalizer, and it's it stars Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, and a bunch more other actors who I don't have time to say due to the runtime of this video, and in and it's a remake of the original 1960 Western classic, The Magnificent Seven. And a lot of you guys may not know this, but the original Magnificent Seven from 1960 is actually a retelling of the iconic 1950s Japanese movie Seven Samurai. And I haven't seen Seven Samurai, but it's one of those movies that I have to watch before I die. Fingers crossed. If my life is gonna last that long. And I haven't seen the original Magnificent Seven either, but I actually never heard of it until I saw the trailer for the new Magnificent Seven a few months ago. And so I didn't know what I was expecting when I was watching it last night. And when I watched it in the theater, I was kind of nervous because a lot of the reviews have been kind of mixed because critics were against the script and the dialogue. And when I walked out of the theater, I love this movie. I'm being serious. The critics that gave this movie a bad review can just kiss my butt. Seriously, this movie was fun, energetic, and I loved almost every second of it, even though I do have one problem with it, but I'll get to that later. So I was actually really surprised with this movie, and it's one of the best movies of the year, and it's one of the most funnest movies I've seen all year. Okay, so what's the story of this movie? Well, this story's been retold to death, and it's been retold many times. Dirty Dozen, A Bug's Life, and a bunch more other movies. Suicide Squad had this story also. So the story is that there's this evil jerk who takes over this town in the Wild West because this city is a mining town and he wants to go from the town. So the town's like, screw it, we can't handle this guy anymore. So let's get some guy to take him out. And so they get Denzel Washington, who plays a bounty hunter. It's up to him to get 7 other cowboys to stop this bad guy from taking over the city, and thus the Magnificent Seven is created. And yeah, so yeah, like I said, this story's been redone to death ever since Seven Samurai came out. It was that much of a legendary story that this story has been retold to death. And like Dirty Dozen, A Bug's Life, and Suicide Squad, and Magnificent Seven, they basically all have the same exact story as Seven Samurai. And so let's talk about the positives of this movie. The cast in this movie is phenomenal. But let's talk about the one actor who is obviously the best. Denzel Washington. What can you say about this guy? I call him Black Tom Hanks. Why? Cause he is one of the best actors ever lived, and he is about as good as Tom Hanks. And I sometimes compare him to Tom Hanks. He's basically an African American Tom Hanks. Like, that's basically what I call him. And Chris Pratt is in it also, and Chris Pratt was so entertaining in this movie. And every time Chris Pratt is in a movie, I always expect him to be hilarious and great, and that's what he is in this movie. Like he went from being the fat idiot on Parks and Recreation to this giant hunk of beefcake, basically. And I actually didn't know who Chris Pratt was until I saw the Lego Movie 2 years ago, and ever since then, I've been like, this guy's hilarious, and yeah, I actually love Chris Pratt, and Anton Fuqua also reunites two Training Day stars, Denzel Washington, of course, and Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke is also really good in this movie. He was kind of unrecognizable because of his beard, though. And Vincent D'Onofrio is also in this movie, and he is really over the top, and it's hilarious. And one of the best things about this movie is not only the cinematography; it's gorgeous. It's not only the musical score; it's beautiful. Just it was the last movie to get scored by the late James Horner. Rest in peace, man. Such a brilliant composer. And but yeah, one of the best things about this movie is the action scenes. The action scenes are phenomenal. They're amazing. They're intense. They're energetic. They're just beautiful. They're amazing. And whoever directed the and wait, no, actually if Anton Fuqua did a great job directing the action scenes, and they were so cool, and one of the best things about this movie. And if I were to have one problem with it, is that the violence. I didn't mind the violence, but if there was a top contender for the most violent PG-13 movie, this would probably be number one. It's got to be the most violent PG-13 movie I've seen since Casino Royale and A Dark Knight. This movie is violent for a PG-13 movie, and the violence didn't bother me, but if I were to say one thing, it would be just quiet down the violence a little bit. Like it actually does almost goes into R-rated territory a little bit, but it's not. I mean, it would have been rated R if it showed some guy getting like decapitated or something. But overall, the violence was fine, but it could have been just a little bit more calm though. But overall, I was surprised with the Magnificent Seven. I absolutely loved it. It had a great cast, cinematography, music story. It's a legendary story that will be told to death, and I hope it will, because the story of this movie is amazing. And I'm gonna give the Magnificent Seven an A. I am yet to watch the original. I hope the original is as great as this movie. Okay, guys. So the Magnificent Seven. Have you seen it? What do you think of it? Or if you have seen the original Magnificent Seven, stutter problem. Sorry, it's just a disability of mine. Sorry, and so yeah, if you guys have seen the original Magnificent Seven, what do you prefer? This or the original? Just compare the original and the remake. So whatever you prefer, comment below and let me know. And if you want to see more of my videos, just be sure to subscribe.